Now it's time for another new project. It's called the 3D comic. This can also be called a shadow box. Should be pretty fun. Let's do it. Here's one that's already done. If we turn to the side, you'll notice I have the background, middle ground, and foreground. Shows some depth. Here's another example that has longer dividers between the background, middle ground, and foreground, which gives an even larger sense of depth. Here's the background, the middle ground, and the foreground of another project I have that's not quite put together. Here we go. Here we're going to start the new project with the background. I'm using a ruler to draw some vertical lines nice and straight for the buildings because my background is going to be a downtown area with a bunch of different skyscrapers, apartments, and different buildings like that. Maybe even a bridge too. Use a ruler if you want really nice straight lines. They should all be vertical and parallel to the edges of your paper. Some of the stuff you can freehand, like this bridge. Here we go. Boom, all done. Now it's time to add some color. Let's use colors that are appropriate for the city. Maybe some bright, some dark, and a good contrast to both. Now I'm started on my middle ground. For the middle ground and the foreground, you need to have a 1/2-inch border around your entire paper. This allows us to glue it all together and to provide stability for the objects in the middle ground and foreground. There's a couple different ways to do this. Basically, you just need to make little marks that are 1/2 inch from all edges of the paper and then connect them all. Make sure you use a ruler. Be precise. Do it with a pencil first so that if you make a mistake, you can erase. Here I have a little parachute guy, and I want to make sure that he's placed accordingly so I don't cover up too much of the background. Looks pretty good. I'll finish him off a little bit. Now let's draw a hot air balloon. Now I might not end up using this hot air balloon in that exact position. I might cut it out, place it somewhere else. We'll have to wait and see. I'm trying to make it look kind of round. I'm going a little fast, but make it detailed and do a good job with it. Now let's add some rain clouds and raindrops. Got a cloud there with some raindrops coming down. I'll add another one so hopefully I can connect it to the border a little bit easier. Yeah, like that. Maybe some big ones at the bottom. We'll see if I end up using them. And boom, here's the foreground. I've got even more rain clouds and more raindrops. Now, here's what I want to do. Make sure everything is connected to the border so that when I cut things out, it'll be secure and allow me some stability in the comic. I'm going to add some more raindrops to make this come all the way down, and I'll just have that top border connect all the way to the bottom border, and we'll see how it looks. It should work out. So now I've got my background, middle ground, and foreground, and we're good to go. Let's start cutting. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my marker, and I'm outlining everything that I want to keep. So I'm going to keep that parachute guy, I'm going to keep this, rain clouds and raindrops, connected to that border. I'm going to keep those ones down there, maybe. We'll see. And I'm going to cut out around the hot air balloon too. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade in all the area that I want to cut away using the X-Acto knife. Now let's talk about the knives. This part loosens and tightens the blades. There's an angled sharp side of the blade for cutting and a straight non-sharp side. Now it's time to start cutting. Always make sure that your hand is out of the way, just like I have here. Never cut towards your hand. So I've got my hand on top there. I'm never cutting towards my hand that's holding the paper. One of the best tips I can give you for cutting with an X-Acto knife is to hold the knife at an angle like you were writing with it, like it's a pencil or something. Don't hold it straight up and down, otherwise you're just cutting with the tip. You want to try to cut with a decent part of the blade. Here I've cut out everything, including the hot air balloon, so I'll end up using a stilt for that later. Now let's move on to the foreground. Same thing, outlining everything, and then I'm going to cut out what I end up shading in. And I'm done. So now I've got the background, and the middle ground, and the foreground. So I'm just double checking to make sure everything isn't covered up too much. I can always go back and cut some more things out. Have fun with this. This is the end of part 1 of this project. Do a good job. Have fun. See ya.